My name is Kalora Caulfield. I am a experienced certified yoga teacher at the 500-hour level and a continuing education provider. I am here with you today to lead you through a all levels, very beginner friendly, very simple flow, a yoga flow designed for runners. Really, and you could say that this flow is for anybody who does anything on their feet ever at all. So if you go for a walk, if you sit at a desk all day, if you ride a bicycle, if you rollerblade, whatever it is that you like to do activity-wise or inactivity-wise, I promise that this flow will benefit you. But today for sure, we'll specifically be focusing on those muscles in your hips and in your core and in your lower back that tend to get a little bit tight from activities such as running and jogging. I'll also speak specifically throughout the flow to some of those things that you can try if you are a runner in your off the mat time when you are training. That will help perhaps alleviate any kind of pain or discomfort that'll help you feel better when you are running and when you are not. So you can do this practice on a yoga mat. Any kind of yoga mat will do. Although if you have one of those super squishy mats, I would definitely suggest to avoid them just because they're gonna kind of throw off your balance and slide around on you. So preferably something a little bit more solid beneath your feet. Also, if you have props, if you have blocks and straps and blankets and so on and so forth, you can always have those things around. And I'll make sure throughout the flow to kind of sprinkle in little moments where if you had a block or something like that, that you could totally pull it in and use it. All right, and so for today's practice, we're going to get started in what's called a child's pose. And in child's pose, you'll bring the big toes of your feet together. You'll take your knees out kind of nice and wide, maybe as wide as your yoga mat, and then start to sit your hips back onto your heels. And as you do this, as you sit your hips back onto your heels, if this feels at all uncomfortable on your knees, you can absolutely play with the shape. So if you had a hard surface underneath you, you might put a blanket or something underneath your knees and your shins for more support. If when you sit back in this way, if you feel any pulling or tugging or sharp pain on the inside of your knee, or if you had maybe like a knee replacement surgery or something going on with your patella, you might consider putting something behind your knees, like a rolled up blanket or towel. You can also just avoid bringing your hips back so far. So you'll find the place that feels right for you today, and then you'll start to extend your torso forward onto your mat. And stretch your arms out nice and long. Maybe take your hands kind of wide so that your shoulders have some space, and then drop your head down onto the ground. And if that feels too far down, you can absolutely put a block or a pillow or a cushion underneath your chest or underneath your forehead for more support. But once you're resting in your child's pose, you're welcome to move a little bit. You could circle out your wrists, you could rock your head, you could sway your hips a little. But then once you kind of move what you need to move, take a moment just to pause and be still. Let your body get heavy. Let your muscles start to soften a little bit. And take a big breath in through your nose until your lungs are full. And then open your mouth and sigh it out. Let it go. And do that again. Long breath in through the nose, filling up. And then open the mouth. Let it out. Just one more time. Nice big fill in the lungs. And then open your mouth, release it all. And at this point in time, go ahead and close your lips together and start to breathe in and out through your nose. Just in and out through the nose, nice and steady. No need to force anything. And then from here, you're just going to walk your arms over to either side of your yoga mat. I'm going to the left, and your hands and your arms can be just as far as feels comfortable. And so the idea here is that you're just opening through your lats and through the sides of your body, through your torso. Keep your hips heavy, your chest heavy. Take a few few big breaths into the side of your body. Good, one more here. And then when you're ready, you'll just change sides. So just travel your arms, travel your hands over to the opposite side of your yoga mat. And let your chest and your head drop back down. And you're looking to breathe really big into the side of your body. And opening for your lats, your obliques. One more big breath. And when you're ready, come on back through center and come forward onto your hands and knees into a tabletop position. And again, if you had kind of a thin type of yoga mat, you could keep your knees cushioned by a towel if you prefer. And if you are working with any kind of wrist injury at all, you can always come into a neutral wrist position by gripping some dumbbells or coming onto your fists, or alternately just coming down onto your forearms with your elbows under your shoulders instead. But working from wherever you need to be today, you're going to treat this almost like a push-up position, like a plank. So you want to actually push down into the ground actively as though you were trying to move the ground away. Start to hug the muscles of your thighs in towards your bones and draw your belly button away from the ground. So the idea is that we want to be a little bit active here. All right? And then from here, you're just going to take some cat-cows. On your inhale, allow your belly button to drop to the ground and lift your chest to the sky. And then as you exhale, do the opposite. Tuck your chin, round your spine like a Halloween cat, and stretch the back of your body. On your inhale, let your belly button drop, your chest and your tail lift up. And then on your exhale, lift the center of your spine to the ceiling. Tuck your chin in. Good, couple more times. As you inhale, you're in the lift. And as you exhale, you're in that cat back. Just back and forth. Remember, breathing in and out through your nose rather than through your mouth. In and out through the nose is going to help calm your nervous system down. It's going to tone the muscles of your respiratory system, diaphragm. And this is going to help you in your running performance, by the way. Couple more. So just mobilizing the spine, muscles of the core. Two more. Inhaling into your cow pose, that lift. And exhaling finally into your cat. Good, back through center. All right, so from this tabletop position, I'd like for you to go ahead and take your right toes to the back of your mat in a tucked position. Keep pushing into your hands like you're moving the ground away. Remember, we want to be active and strong rather than collapsed, so active here. As you push into your hands, begin to pull your weight back into your heel. You're going to feel a really bright sensation probably in your calf, your gastrocnemius and soleus. And so these are some of those muscles that do get pretty tight from running. You hear about like that Achilles kind of region. And so just keep pushing into your hands, keep pulling back into your heel. A few more deep breaths. Keeping your chest lifted, your belly taut. Good, one more here. And then from here, you're going to take that same foot, your right foot that's tucked, and just slide it to the left. So I'm going to kind of bring my right leg over to the left a little bit. Still tucked in my toes, still active in the press of my palms. From here, take your gaze over your left shoulder as though you were trying to peek past your heel. You might feel quite a bright sensation along the outside of your right hip. That's your IT band. You're welcome to shift your hips back a little bit for a little bit more sensation. Keep breathing deeply. Belly in. Good, one more. And then when you're ready, come all the way back to center. Cat-cow it out. As you inhale, lift the chest. As you exhale, round the spine. Two more. Heart high on the inhale. Chin in on the exhale. One more time. Big in-breath, lift your chest, your tailbone, maybe your gaze. And as you exhale, around the spine, belly in. Come back to your neutral tabletop, push into the ground, and extend your left toes to the back of your mat. Tuck them. Keep pushing into your palms. And if you're like me and you're kind of mobile, you'll want to be mindful not to hyperextend your elbow. So you might keep a little micro bend in your elbow. Keep pulling the belly in and stretching your weight back into your left heel. Deep breaths in and out through the nose. Just as far as you can stand. You don't want to go so far into the stretch that you lose your breath, that you start straining or clenching your jaw. Nothing like that. Good. One more here. And then same leg. Take that left leg and slide it over to the right behind you. Toes still tucked on the ground. From here, take your gaze over your right shoulder as though you were trying to peek past your heel. Good. Keep active press in the palms. You could shift your hips back a little if you'd like to. And maybe feel that bright sensation along the outside of your left hip, your IT band. Good. One more. And then back to center. Cat-cow it out. My cat here just in time. Exhaling as you round into your cat back. Two more. Inhaling into your cow. Exhaling into that cat. Good, last one. Big inhale. Big exhale. And then from here, I'd like for you to untuck your toes and sit your hips back onto your heels. Kind of circle your wrists around. You were bearing your weight on your hands for quite a little while. And as you sit here with your weight back on your heels, if this is not feeling friendly on your knees again, kind of like that child's pose, you could always sit on something. So you could put a block underneath your hips, a folded up towel or blanket. Maybe that way your hips aren't quite so low on your heels. And that'll be friendlier too if you notice that when you point your toes, your plantar flexion, the degree of your range of motion is maybe not quite so like straight on. You know, if you're feeling any discomfort in your ankles perhaps. But if it feels okay, just keep sitting back, your torso aligned over your heels as much as possible. Connect your belly in towards your core. Circle your wrists as you need to. And then as we rest here and breathe in our saddle pose, it's called. It's going to open through your ankles. It's going to open through your quadriceps. We'll do just a little bit of neck stretching. So simplest version is just to let your right ear drop down towards your right shoulder. Let gravity do its thing, so don't worry about pulling your right shoulder upward. Keep it relaxed. If you want a little bit more, you can take your left arm behind your back into a bit of a half bind, we call it. From here, for a little more, your right fingers can come up to the top of the side of your head and give just a little bit of a tug, a little bit of a pull. Good, keep pulling your belly in, breathing in and out through the nose, calm and steady. And remember, this is going to help kind of balance out your nervous system. It's going to help remove any waste products from your body, such as all that lactic acid that maybe you build up when you go for your runs. Good, and then you can change sides when you're ready, so just allowing the left ear to drop down towards the right shoulder, simplest way. And just mindful that it's not your left shoulder lifting, but staying relaxed. For a little more, the right arm can wrap behind your back, and your fingertips might come up to the side of your head to add just a little gentle tug. Remember, not overdoing it. Let your breath be your guide, so we're constantly looking for that smooth, steady, complete breath in and out through the nose. If it gets shallow, if you start to hold your breath or breathe forcefully, usually that's just your body's way of telling you to back off a little bit. Good. When you're ready, come all the way out. Shift forward onto your hands and knees. And now it might feel real good to stretch one of your feet back, stretch out that ankle for a few breaths, and then the other side. Right, after sitting on your feet that way. We're not quite done with the feet. I apologize with love in advance for where we're going next. But now I'd like for you to tuck your toes, curl your toes under as much as you can. And usually it's the pinky toe that doesn't want to get involved. See if you can get your pinky toe involved. So your toes are all the way curled under. And then you're going to sit your hips back again towards your heels. This might feel excruciating. You're on your feet all the time as a runner. All of those forces pounding against your arches and your feet and your heels. Super unfriendly for your feet. And so we want to give our feet a little bit of love. If this is not at all feeling loving, you can always put something between your hips and your heels. A pillow, a block, a cushion, a blanket. And if that's still not enough, just pick up your hips. Keep your hips stacked over your knees, but do your best to keep your toes curled under. In this way, you're going to start working into the arches of your feet, opening up all of that fascia and connective tissue that gets tight, that gets brutalized during your runs. And so as much as you can, whether your hips are lifted, halfway down, or all the way down, pull your belly in, keep your spine long and direct. And we're just going to stretch the shoulders a little bit here. And we're kind of doing this to multitask. We're doing this a little bit to help distract the mind from the feet. You're giving your attention somewhere else to go. But you'll just take your right arm across your chest, and your left arm's going to hook. It's going to open through your scapula, your rhomboids, upper back. Maybe those parts of your upper body that get a little tight from all of your running, swinging your arms, deep breaths. Know that at any time, if you need to, you can lift your hips up for a few breaths. Keep your toes tucked if you can, and then you can always sit them back down. Good, and then you'll just change sides, left arm across the chest, belly in. Keep your neck relaxed as much as you can. It can be helpful to just set your eye gaze somewhere specific. In yoga, we call it drishti. It's just a focal point. Just keenly interested in whatever you're looking at. I'm looking at my cat right now. She is very interesting. Good. Remember, you can always lift your hips up, set them back down if you need to. Couple more breaths. And then gently release it. Come onto your hands and knees. And now you might want to untuck your toes, give them a little tap, a little wiggle. Shake out whatever you got to shake out. Do whatever you got to do. From here, we're going to come into downward facing dog. You'll plant your hands maybe a little bit wider than shoulder width distance. Usually for me, you can look at your thumbs and just kind of like align your thumbs, or that triad between your thumbs and your index finger. Go ahead and just kind of like align that region with your shoulders. With your fingers more or less spread out, pointing forward. From here, you'll tuck your toes and lift your hips up into the air. As you lift your hips, push back into your heels. There's that opening through the calf muscles again. And you'll drop your head as heavy and relaxed as you can. Now, depending on how things are feeling in your hamstrings, this might not feel very friendly or accessible. Some options might include bending your knees a lot. You can bend your knees a lot to better push your weight back. So you want to keep bringing your weight back into your hips. Alternately, you can always put your hands on top of something. If you have some blocks or some books or some hand weights, if you lift your hands up higher, that's going to help get you back into your hamstrings a little bit more easy. If you need a break at any time, you can come onto your hands and knees or shift back into your child's pose. But we're going to see if we can be here in our downward facing dog for just a little while longer. As much as you can, continue pushing your hands into the ground and stretching your weight back into your legs. Tuck your chin and relax your neck. You can even shake your head side to side. You'll notice that I'm pedaling my feet out left and right. This is a really nice way to play in your downward facing dog. And I find it also kind of lightens the load a little bit. Doesn't feel quite so intense. Good. Couple more breaths. And big breath in through the nose, maybe out of your mouth. Let it go. Then from here, you're just going to walk your feet forward to your hands. And as you walk your feet forward, do keep them wide. So I'm looking down, and again, I want my big toes kind of aligned with my hips, or maybe even a little bit wider. All right? From here, you'll bend your knees as much as necessary for your belly to start to come into contact with your thighs. So we don't want to overtax the lower back and the hamstrings. We want to take it slow. So you'll bend your knees a lot, so you get a little freer. And then from there, drop your chest, drop your head. So you want to get really loose and free in the torso and the upper body. If you need support, you can put your hands on top of blocks or whatever prop you have available. You're welcome to sway a little side to side. Give into gravity as much as you can. You can grab your ankles or your shins if you'd like to. If your shoulders are feeling cranky, you can always clasp your hands together at your lower back and start to straighten your arms. But again, tuck the chin, stay loose in your neck and jaw. Breathe big in and out through the nose. All right. And so from whatever you're doing, wherever you're moving, just take a moment to pause and get still. Keep pushing into your feet and stay active in the muscles of your legs. On your next inhale, put your hands on your shins and pull your chest forward. We call it a halfway lift. So I'm contracting my quads, I'm contracting my core, getting nice and long. And then as you exhale, bend your knees a lot and fold. Good. Push into your feet, keep your knees bent, and roll yourself all the way up to stand. Shoulders to your ears a couple times, around and around. You can adjust your stance if you need to. I'm going to bring my feet a little closer, more to hip width distance apart. Just for me, I feel more stable that way, but you can play with it. And then when you're ready, you'll just stretch your arms all the way up and over your head. Take a big inhale. Good. And then from here, go ahead and clasp your palms together. And if it feels okay, you can keep them together or flip them all the way up into the air. And you're going to step your right foot over to the left. So just crossing right foot over left. So your two legs are crossed, your 2 feet are planted on the ground. I'd like for you to pull together your 2 thighs. Pull in everything you can. So we're getting active again. From here, go ahead and just lean to the left a little bit. And there's again maybe that right sensation along the side of your body, in your IT band, in your lats, no obliques. Good, back up to center, take an inhale, and now listen, as you exhale, you're gonna bow over your legs. Bend your knees a lot, and come fold again. You can support your hands, fingers on the floor or on blocks. Keep pushing your feet into the ground, and eventually keep working your chest down. Really good, couple more breaths. Lift your hips up as high as you can. There's that IT band again, just breathe with it. Good, take a halfway lift as you inhale, uncross your right foot from the left, and then bow down your legs, shake it out. When you're ready, roll yourself up to stand, shoulders to the ears a few times. Reach up as you inhale, clasp the hands together, either palms up or palms in, and cross your left leg over in front of your right leg. They don't have to be like heel to heel. You know, you can have your feet a little further apart, wherever they need to be so that you can feel more stable. Squeeze your thighs in, pull your belly in and get as long as you can. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, tip to the right. Set your eyes somewhere steady and breathe big. Loving, loving breaths, maybe into your left hip, IT band inside. Good, one more. Come back up to center, take a breath in. And now remember, as you fold, you're gonna bend your knees a lot, bow slowly down. Plant your hands on the floor or blocks or whatever you've got. Keeping the knees bent, keep allowing your torso to drop. Once there, if it feels okay, you can begin to straighten your legs and lift your hips. The more you straighten your legs, the more you lift your hips, maybe the more you feel those sensations in your SI region, your outer hip, outer thigh, and your hamstrings. Just breathe and work from where you are. You might not be able to see on camera, but my muscles, my legs are literally shaking, and that just means that my muscles are a little tight today, and they're talking to me. So I'm not going to force them to go any further than they want to go. I'm just going to stay right here and breathe. Now on your next inhale, lift halfway up, uncross your left foot from your right, so your feet are hips width distance, and bow back down your legs. Keep bending your knees. Sway, swing. And then when you're ready, keep the knees bent, roll yourself up to stand, reach up high as you breathe in. Ooh, and then just take a moment, bring your hands together over your heart, close your eyes. Maybe feeling a little bit brighter, a little bit more vibrant or connected to your lower half. Take a breath in through your nose. Open your mouth, let it go. And we're going to keep working in a little bit here. So on your next inhale, reach up. On your exhale, bend your knees, fold right back down your legs. Keep the knees bent, drop your head in your chest. Come halfway up. This is going to be interesting with my cat here. You're going to step your left foot to the back of your mat like we did from that tabletop. Tuck your toes, but this time put your knee on the ground. So you're coming into a lunge. And as you come into your lunge, go ahead and explore, play with it. I'm going to bring my hands up to my right knee. You might try that too. It's a really nice place to start. If you're working with something a little bit flatter or on a hard surface, you can put a pillow or a cushion underneath your knee. You can explore tucking or untucking your back toes, but personally I find tucking my toes makes me feel more steady. So play with that too. Notice as well, if your feet are really narrow, if your stance is super narrow, you're probably feeling very wobbly. So you'll want to take your front foot out to the right until you have your feet and your legs at about a hips width distance, more like railroad tracks. So from here, push down into the ground, squeeze your thighs and your hips together. So we don't want to be loosey-goosey. We want to be active and build some stability. Pull your belly in, stay, or if you'd like to, you can reach one or both of your arms up into the air. And so we're opening, we're creating mobility as well as stability at the same time. As you hug in, as you squeeze, all those muscles that are responsible for moving you through your runs and through your activities, your daily life, right? We're getting them stronger, more connected and interconnected, right? This is going to help you so that you're less predisposed to things like injuries, right? And so a couple more breaths, pressing into the ground, hugging in. Take a big inhale. And then as you exhale, bring your hands down onto the ground, all right? And from here, you're gonna just shift your hips back and straighten your front leg. And you can explore like scooching your front ankle more forward or more backward. It's gonna be tempting to sit all the way down. Try to not sit all the way down. If you can, keep your hips up and just use props under your hands or underneath your right leg, wherever they need to go so that you feel supported. So this is going to open through your hamstring, the back of your leg, once again. Something that you can play with here is you can point your front foot and notice that you get a little bit more of a bright sensation, a stretch and opening in your shin. And a lot of runners, especially if you live in northern latitudes where there's hills or you do hill training, you can get like shin splints, I'm sure you're familiar with. That's that muscle right up here in the top of your shin. And so by pointing, plantar flexing your foot, you lengthen out that muscle and get a really lovely stretch and opening. Conversely, if you flex your foot and dorsiflex toes towards your nose, you're going to move into the back of your muscle, the back of your calf. So that's the soleus and your gastroc. You can go back and forth. You can roll your ankle around a little bit. Do some mobility work, right? If you hear clicking, if you hear popping, that's all totally fine. Just your body saying hello. Good, a couple more breaths. Alrighty. And so from here, once you are ready, you'll come back forward into your lunge, and this time, take your right foot, walk it out to the right side of your mat. You're going to bring your hands to the inside of your lunge. And so we call this like a dragon lunge or a lizard lunge, and I'm not quite sure why, but we're just gonna go with it. So it's kind of same as your lunge, except this time you're gonna let your hips drop down. So before we were doing some stability work, you were contracting your muscles and kind of lifting yourself up. Here, go ahead and start exploring the opposite. Let your hips sort of start to sink down towards the ground and forward. You can stay on your hands or put your hands on props. You could untuck your back toes at this point if that felt okay. Some of you, if you have like a long cushion or a long bolster or some blocks, you could actually bring your forearms down on top of your blocks, your cushion, or even down to the ground, wherever you need to be so that you can breathe. That's the key. And remember, we're breathing in and out through our nose, steadying our nervous system, cleansing the body of metabolic wastes. And so this is going to get you into your hip flexors on your left side in particular, into your glutes on that right side. Couple more breaths. And then when you're ready, you'll come on out nice and slow. Replant your hands. Shift your hips back just enough that you can come into that tabletop pose. In your tabletop, reorient yourself. Take some cat-cows, inhaling as you lift your chest, exhaling as you round your spine. Couple more. Just move with your breath. And you're welcome to rest for a moment or two in child's pose, letting your hips kind of sink back towards your heels. You can stretch out your arms and drop your head. Might feel good. Kind of catch your breath if needed. And then when you're ready, downward facing dog. Press your hips up into the air. Bring your weight back into your heels. Pedal it out if you need to. Drop your head, shake it out, yes and no. And then walk your feet forward to your hands into your forward fold, keeping your feet nice and wide, your knees bent. Drop your chest and your head. On your next inhale, hands to your shins, lift halfway up, squeeze belly, hips, thighs. And as you exhale, fold forward. And then go ahead, roll yourself all the way up to stand. Reach your arms overhead, take a breath in. Whew, back to your heart center. Close your eyes for a moment and just feel what you feel, bringing your attention right in to this time and space and place that you're in. And this is such a valuable practice, just being in a practice of presence, of bringing your attention somewhere specific, right? Rather than up in space somewhere or some future place. Just for a moment, bring your attention perhaps to that feel of your two hands touching, or the feel of your 2 feet in contact with your mat, or your breath and your body. And then on your inhale, when you're ready, reach up. And as you exhale, fold down your legs, bend your knees a 10. Come halfway up and step your right foot to the back of your mat, nice and long, and put your knee down on the ground, unless you're using a blanket or a pillow, okay? Then from there, you can bring your hands up to your front thigh or front knee. Check your stance again. Remember, if it's super narrow, you're gonna feel wobbly and unsteady. So you wanna come more to a kind of a railroad track, hips width distance apart with your 2 legs. You'll wanna also check out your left knee. If your left knee is really forward of your heel, of your toes, that's extremely unfriendly on the patella, on the knee, and the ankle. So we're looking to stack and align the joints, having your left ankle more or less underneath your left knee, okay? It's okay for your foot to be a little forward of your knee, you just don't want to be behind. It's sort of a biomechanically unfriendly position, okay? So we want to stay more in that neutral place. Once there, you want to push into the ground, anything touching it, and squeeze your thighs, squeeze your hips, squeeze your belly, so you're super strong and connected here. You can stay or you can reach your arms up and over your head. Breathe big into your sides. And as you breathe big here into the sides of your body, using your diaphragm, breathing in and out of the nose, right? You're expanding your respiratory capacity. This is also really important for things like running, cardiovascular type activities. Good. Couple more breaths. Lift through the sides. Create some space for your breath to flow. And then when you're ready, you can have your hands come down to the ground or to your blocks or props or whatever you're working with, and straighten your front leg. As you shift your hips back, you can play with the stance. You can scoot your front heel more forward or more backward or wider. Again, if you have that temptation to sit your hips all the way down, see if you can kind of shift them forward and up a little bit. And, from here, just kind of play with it. Keep working your left leg as long as you can. You can point your front foot for a little while to open through your anterior tibialis anterior muscle, that shin muscle that gets those shin splints. You can flex your foot coming onto your heel to get more into your calf, your Achilles, hamstrings. You can roll your ankle around a little bit, bring some mobility in. Couple more breaths. Nice and long in your spine and your neck, trying to not crowd your ears with your shoulders or add any unnecessary strain. And then when you're ready, shift your weight back forward into your front leg. Scoot your left foot out to the side of your mat and bring your hands to the inside. So you're setting up for that lizard lunge or that dragon lunge. With the hands on the inside, and still again looking for that alignment, knee more or less over your ankle, you can begin to give into gravity. Start to let your hips come forward. So rather than sitting way back with the hips, do what you can to invite your hips more forward. And down is just going to be sort of a natural thing that happens the more forward your hips come, okay? From there you can stay on your hands. You could untuck your back toes if you'd like to. If you have some type of prop that you're working with, whether it's stacked up books or blocks or maybe a pillow or cushion off of your couch or your bed, you can always explore bringing your forearms, one or both of them, down. Whether that's on a prop or onto the ground, totally up to you. And it doesn't have to match the previous side. Just go with whatever works here and now. Stay mindful of your breath, that steady breathing in and out through the nose. If you find that there's a lot of sensation happening, it can be helpful to kind of zoom your attention into your breath flow for just a little while, knowing that you're breathing in, knowing that you're breathing out. Good, a few more moments. Relax in your shoulders and your neck and your jaw as much as you can. And then when you're ready, take your time to come up and out, very nice and slow. Eventually, hands under shoulders, bring your left knee back into that tabletop pose. Take some cat-cows just to kind of move things around. Inhaling as you lift, exhaling as you round. Really good. All right, so from here, I'm going to have you come onto your back. And as you lie on your back, you can kind of shimmy around a little bit. If you have props, you can make sure that they're sort of within arm's reach just in case you decide you want them. But once resting on your back, bend your knees and plant your feet about hips width distance or a little bit wider. You can let your arms relax to either side. And just let your knees sway side to side like windshield wipers at slow speed on your car. Right? Like nothing too crazy, nothing too kinetic, just nice and slow, however controlled. So we don't want to be kind of flopping all over, right? So let there be a sense of intentional movement as you go. You can close your eyes, or you can set your eyes somewhere specific. Remember practicing your focused attention. Breathing evenly in and out through the nose, full complete breath cycles. All right. And so from these little windshield wipers that you're doing, you're just going to go ahead and allow your knees to kind of fall to one side. Do keep your feet in that like kind of hips width distance or wider position. So we don't want to bring the knees together or bring the feet together. You're just literally from your windshield wipers, just letting your knees kind of fall, kind of giving into gravity. And then so from here you can kind of stay and close your eyes and let gravity do what it does best. If you'd like a little bit of a deeper opening, especially through the sides of your body and your IT band, you can take your chest and shimmy it in the opposite direction from your knees. So for example, my knees fell to the left, so I'm going to shimmy my chest over to the right a little bit. And that just brings it a little bit more into that right hip flexor. You can even kind of drop your gaze over your shoulder in that opposite direction from your knees. You can let your arms kind of splay out like a T or a goalpost. You can explore having your palms face up, and that can feel good if your shoulders feel tight. And for those of you who are looking for perhaps an even deeper opening, especially through your outer hip and SI region, you can always take your bottom foot and bring it on top of your top thigh. So again, my knees are kind of over to the left. So I'm going to take that left foot on top of my right thigh into like a little number 4 position. Smooth, steady breath. And when you're ready, gently release it, slide back to center. Windshield wiper it out. Remember, smooth, steady, purposeful movement. Easy breath. And then when you're ready, keeping your feet wide, keeping your knees wide, just let your knees drop to the opposite side. And you can stay with that, or if you wanted that kind of deeper opening, you can shimmy your chest in the opposite direction of your knees. So now my knees are pointing to the right, so I'm just going to shimmy my chest to the left. You can take your arms out nice and wide, like a T or a goalpost, palms face up if you'd like. And let your chin drop over your shoulder, close your eyes. If you wanted an even deeper opening through your outer hip, IT band, SI region, you can always take your bottom foot and bring it on top of your top thigh. So for me, my knees point to the right, so it's my right foot that comes to the top of my left thigh. And then from there, just give into gravity as best you can. Send your breath into the sides of your body, into your lowest ribs. That's going to be that diaphragmatic breathing. Making sure you get complete exhales, completely emptying. And then when you're ready, gently release it. Kind of slide yourself back to center. Do a little bit of that windshield wiper movement, side to side. And from here, just give yourself a full body stretch. Your knees were bent for a while, so just stretch your whole body out nice and long. All right, almost done. Hang in there. You're gonna bend your knees, plant your feet once again, hips width distance apart. Make sure that your toes are pointing to 12 o'clock. So like if there was a clock in front of you, like toes point forward, same direction as your knees. And then from here, you're gonna push your feet down into the ground, engage your thighs, core, and hips. So here's a little more of that stability work. You're just gonna lift your hips up off of the ground.
As you do this, your arms down along your sides can push actively into the ground so that you engage your lats and your core as well. So this is called a bridge. It's going to strengthen the strongest muscle in your body, those glutes of yours. Extremely important muscle when it comes to running. It's your glutes that help propel you forward, give you that power in your stride. So a couple more breaths, hugging everything in. Be really mindful that you're not tucking your chin. Just keep pressing the back of your head, back of your shoulders into the ground. Take one more breath in. And then let it come down. As you come down, you can sway your knees. Take a moment to relax. And we're just going to do that one more time. So replant your feet where, if they moved around a little, hips width distance apart. Arms along your sides. Engage your core, your thighs and hips. And when you're ready, lift your hips up off of the ground. Squeeze in your glutes. Push your feet into the ground. Remember, use your arms. Press them into the ground so you engage your core and your back. Big breaths into your sides. Back of your head. Remember, pressing into the ground so there's no strain in your neck. Good. 3 more breaths. You can do it. Keep lifting your hips up. Push up. And release it down. Let it go. Windshield wipers. Woo, all right. From here, you're going to hug your knees in towards your chest. You can have hands on top of your knees or behind them. Wherever they need to go is fine. And as you do this, do your best to keep your ankles uncrossed. So just side-by-side shins, side-by-side knees. You can roll side to side. You can circle your knees around a little. It's going to feel like a good massage on your SI and your lower back. Mindful that your head and your neck and your shoulders are all staying relaxed down on your mat. Alright, so from here, you're going to take it into what's called a happy baby pose. You're going to separate your knees and ankles nice and wide. You might just stay. This might be fine. Just separating your knees and ankles nice and wide and continuing to rock, continuing to let gravity do its thing. If you want to take it a little bit further, you're going to grab your feet with your hands. You can grab anything at all. You can grab the outsides of your feet. You can grab your big toes. You can grab the insides of your feet. Whatever. Just grab something. And then take your feet a little wider, your knees a little wider. And keep rocking if you'd like. So this is going to be that big opening in your hips and pelvic girdle. Keep your head heavy, shoulders relaxed. Sometimes I like to rock my head a little or open and close my mouth if I feel like things are getting tight. Alright. From here, keep your right foot, bring your left foot down to the ground with your knee bent. This should be familiar. This is the same shape as those lunges that you did earlier, except now you've flipped it upside down, all right? And you might notice here that you have a little bit more mobility now on that right side in your half happy baby pose. Just a couple breaths. And then from here, you're gonna take that right ankle and just cross it on top of your left thigh. Let the knee wing out to the side like a number 4, all right? So it's just a number 4 stretch. It's going to open through your hip flexors and glutes again. The more you flex your right foot, the more you might feel an activation in that right thigh and hip. You can stay and work from here. If you prefer to take it a little bit deeper, you are always welcome to interlace your fingers behind your left knee or thigh and hug your legs towards your chest. Mindful that as you do so, you're keeping your neck and head and shoulders all kind of relaxed. We don't want to be forcing anything. You'll notice it's different if you relax your ankles versus if you flex them. I'll let you decide which one you prefer. As you hug in, some of you might prefer to straighten your left leg, get into that hamstring, just a little more if you haven't had enough yet. And then when you're ready, you'll just release everything back down to the ground. You could do a full body stretch or some windshield wipers. Just Move intuitively, go with whatever feels right. And then finally, hug your knees back to your chest, ankles uncrossed. When you're ready, take it into your happy baby by separating your knees and your ankles. If you'd like, you can grab your feet. Take your feet wide, knees wide. Rock a little bit. Mindful that your breath is remaining steady, even here as you're resting on your back. We're still breathing in and out through the nose. We're not holding our breath, right? We're just being intentional. When you're ready, bring your right foot to the ground, knee bent. Take a few more breaths in your half happy baby pose. You might notice that you have a little bit more freedom of movement on that left side. And then when you're ready, left ankle over your right thigh, like a number 4. Just let your knee wing out to the side. So you can stay with this, just flex your foot. I find that sometimes just putting my left hand on my left thigh and kind of pressing it forward feels really good on the left hip flexor, adductors. And if you'd like, you can hug in by just interlacing your fingers behind your right thigh, bringing your legs in towards your chest. And you can rock a little if you'd like. You can hug in tight. Explore flexing both of your feet versus relaxing them. And just notice that it's different, right? There is a difference. And you know, you as an athlete, like you know your body better than anybody else. Right? You already have that relationship with your body, so you know how to be in conversation with your body. And so the key here is just to continue the conversation. Just kind of responding to the needs of the moment as they arise. And so when you're ready, you can release it. Take one more final full body stretch, nice and long. And then just kind of splay your body out on the ground. Take your feet nice and wide. Take your arms down along your sides. Close your eyes. After all of your work, after any kind of doing that might have been present for you, just kind of set it all aside. Take a final breath in through your nose. Open your mouth, let it all go. And just rest for a little while. Soaking up all the goodness, all the benefits of your practice today. And when you're ready, you can just start to wiggle your fingers and toes. You might rock your head a little side to side. And again, it's just intuitive movement, just moving your body however you're being asked to. You can roll over onto your side, take a few breaths there, just rest a little while longer. And eventually press yourself all the way just up into a seat. Whatever kind of seat feels comfortable and easeful for you. In your seat, just take a moment to bring your hands together over your heart, close your eyes, and just recognize that you are here, that you are now. Take a moment to feel gratitude for this time that you carved out today to move your body, to breathe with purpose, to be in a place of conversation and connection. The light in me honors the light in you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste. I would
wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to flowing with you again soon.